The stopwatch doesn't lie. It doesn't care how hard you tried. It doesn't care how much experience you have. And it doesn't care how badly you wanted the lap. Every time you leave the pit, it tells you one thing: the truth. And sometimes, that's the hardest lesson racing can teach. Every racing driver eventually reaches the same moment. The moment where effort stops producing results. You practice more and you push harder, but you become more frustrated, yet the stopwatch refuses to move. Most people think this is where talent reaches its limit. But this is where the real journey begins. Every racing driver has experienced this. That moment where you know you have the pace, you know the car is capable, and you know the lap is there. But something changes when it matters. A practice lap feels effortless. A qualifying lap feels like a battle. A race-winning opportunity becomes a mistake. For years, drivers search for the answer. Maybe it's the setup, maybe it's the tyres, or maybe it's the driving technique. But sometimes, the biggest problem isn't the car underneath you. It's what happens inside your own head. Welcome to Sabotage, the psychology of racing. And when we first start racing, speed seems simple. The driver who brakes later wins. The driver who attacks harder wins. And the driver who takes more risks wins. And for a while, that's true. Aggression creates improvement. Confidence creates progress. But eventually, every racing driver reaches a point where that approach stops working. The same thing that made you faster starts making you slower. Because racing has a limit. And that limit isn't just physical, it's psychological. The interesting thing about pressure is that it rarely creates new mistakes. It reveals the ones that were already there. Under pressure, drivers don't suddenly forget how to drive. They simply become a different version of themselves. The patient driver becomes impatient. The smooth driver becomes aggressive. And the calculated driver starts gambling. And the small decisions that normally happen automatically become conscious. You think about the breaking point and you think about the apex, but mostly you think about the result, and suddenly you're no longer reacting, you're forcing. Watch the fastest drivers closely. Something stands out. They don't look like they're fighting, they look calm, controlled, it's almost effortless. That doesn't mean they care less. It means they've learned something most drivers never understand. Speed isn't created by demanding more from the car. It's created by giving the car exactly what it needs. Every unnecessary movement costs something: a steering correction, a rushed throttle input, or a slightly aggressive entry. Individually, these moments seem meaningless, but over an entire lap, they become the difference between being fast and being almost fast. But the hardest part of racing isn't learning the car. It's learning yourself. Because racing has a unique way of exposing your weaknesses. It reveals impatience and it reveals frustration. It reveals your relationship with failure. The reason this lesson is so difficult is because nobody wants to admit their biggest limitation might not be their ability, it's their mindset. Your ego wants to believe that the answer is always more committed and more aggression. But racing teaches the opposite. Sometimes improvement comes from removing things. Removing the panic, removing the pressure, and removing the need to prove yourself. The biggest breakthroughs rarely come from moments you push harder. They come from the moment you understand more. The driver who improves isn't always the driver who works the hardest. It's the driver who can look honestly at themselves. The driver who can review a mistake without making it personal. They can admit it wasn't unlucky. It wasn't just missing pace, because the moment you stop protecting your ego is the moment you start improving. Maybe that's why racing is such a powerful teacher, because it isn't just testing your ability to control a machine, it's testing your ability to control yourself. Every lap tells a story, every mistake reveals something. Every moment of pressure shows who you really are. And the hardest lesson racing teaches you isn't about braking later. It isn't about finding more speed. It's this. You can't force performance. You have to understand it, because the fastest drivers aren't the ones who fight the car the most. They're the ones who understand it the best. So I want to know, what's the hardest lesson racing has ever taught you? Was it patience, consistency, managing pressure, or something completely different? Leave it down in the comments, because every driver has a lesson they had to learn the hard way. And those lessons are what make us faster. If you want to understand why some drivers can extract the maximum from a car while others consistently feel like they're fighting it, watch the video on screen now, because the difference isn't always talent. Sometimes it's something much deeper.